I'm wearing my glasses because it makes me look like I know what I'm talking about. Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jess, also known as the Fat Funny One, and welcome to the chaos. If you've just landed on my channel and never been here before, then welcome. I am Jess. I'm a working mum of 4 wonderful, crazy, slightly feral humans who are 10, 4, 2 and 1. I've got 2 cats and a dog and a husband. We're renovating our house. I work a corporate job. I wrote a book. There's lots of plates spinning here, hence the welcome to the chaos. So if you like a bit of real life, if you like a bit of everything really, then please do consider subscribing. I would love to have you here. So welcome to this video. You've obviously clicked on it because you want to know about the money. And well, have I got a money story? So I want to start by caveating this video. I am not a financial advisor. This isn't financial advice, but what I would like to share with you is habits, poor money habits that I have had over the years, which have led to some pretty hefty financial hiccups, let's say, and ones that I do not continue and would not continue, in the hope that it inspires or helps someone else in their financial journey. But it is not official financial advice. I'm not qualified, but I would love to share this journey because I think money is a subject that is so taboo. Finances are, you know, people don't really talk about it very openly. People don't want to admit when their finances aren't as great. People don't share their debt journeys. And a few years ago, I shared mine online and it was so freeing. But what was so surprising was the number of people coming going, oh my gosh, I'm in this much debt, or me too, or I've been through something similar. Just sharing their stories, and I just realized I wasn't in silo. Like, it wasn't just me going through this or having this really awful relationship with money. So many of us go through the same thing, and you know, we're not educated financially at school. It's not something that we're taught, and it's something that I learned far later in life, and I'm very, very grateful that I understand so much more now. But yeah, I just want to share with you some of the poor money habits that I have had that have led to some pretty, One thing I would like to say is if you are particularly struggling financially and really need some immediate support, then I have links and resources below in the description box. There are some financial charities on there, Citizens Advice, the Debt Helpline, places that you can reach out for free to get support. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, so please don't take this video as fixing all of financial problems that you may have or some challenges that you are facing. Please do seek out some professional support if you can. I have linked some resources below. These are UK based because that's where I'm based, but I am sure there are some of these resources globally, so please do check locally to you, in your country, in your hometown, if there is support available local to you. So with all of that said and done, let's find out about these bad habits. Okay, let's go. My first poor habit or bad habit that I have had was not tracking my spending. It is something that I do religiously now. Like, it is part of my admin routine. It's part of my financial routine. I had no idea where my money went. Like, I got paid, I paid bills, I bought a bunch of stuff. I couldn't tell you where that money went. Now I can tell you the exact percentage of my wages or income that was spent on food or pet food or savings or investments. Like, I track my spending to a T. I have categories. Like, that is a whole nother video for a whole nother day about how I budget, but not tracking my spending was such a poor habit. How can you have any control or understanding of something if you have no way of measuring it, tracking it, seeing it, or even knowing it? Like, some people would say, what's your bank balance? And people would just have no idea. I would have no idea. I knew it was in the minus, but I had no idea. Now I am just so much hot on knowing that information. So poor habit number 1, not having any clue, not tracking my spending, and just, yeah, that was a hot mess. Number 2 was getting credit and having no idea about it. Woo woo, it is not free money. I hit 18, like many of us, and they don't do it now, but back in the day, any shop that you shopped in, they were like, do you want a store card? You get 20% off. And like, this much credit limit, and you'd be like, you're all right. You don't have to pay for it today, and you'd be like, all right. And so I signed up to every store card going. I had one for pretty much every high street shop. I then got a credit card. Like, credit just felt like free money. Like, I was like, woo, I'm 18, yes. I had no understanding, no concept of like credit, how it worked, paying back interest. I had no clue. I saw it as free money, and I just was like, whoop, whoop, was like living my best life until the bill came. One thing I would like to share is that credit cards and credit, when managed properly and done in the right way, aren't necessarily bad. I have a credit card now. I have an Amex. I use it to collect Avios points. I use it responsibly. Again, not selling it to anybody, because I think you have to be in the right financial position and place mindset wise to be able to manage it properly. And I'm there now after a very long journey. So I use it for Avios points. I literally pay it off every week. Every Wednesday and Friday, I have like an admin like haul at home, make sure everything's up to date, track my spending and whatever. I pay it off. I am far better at managing it now. Getting credit with no understanding about how or why, and getting it for all the wrong reasons, may I add, was a huge bad habit. And I learned the absolute hard way when it came to that. I ended up in a huge amount of debt, and this wasn't just for credit cards. There was a whole accumulation and reason and, you know, family circumstances that led to that. But I racked up the best part of £25,000 worth of debt by probably the age of 21, which now I sit back and I think, oh, just how? But it is possible when you're thrown £1,000, £2,000, £3,000, and you've got no concept and no financial education. Credit is not free money. Even now, my eldest daughter, who's 10, I try and explain to her the difference between a credit card and a debit card. I try really hard to start installing some of this financial education and understanding what all of that means. So yeah, bad habit number 2 was getting credit with no education, no understanding, and thinking it was free money, because it really ain't. Bad habit number 3, payday loans. Again, I can't even, do you know what? I was going to say, you know, if you understand it a bit like a credit card, no. They are probably one of the worst financial products out there when it comes to the interest rates, how much you pay back, the way that they work, how they capture people, even down to the advertising, capture people when they're really vulnerable, need money really quickly, and they make the process really easy. But the payback and the cycle that it puts you in is horrendous. I got myself into such a mess. So just for some context, I was really young. I had some issues at home. My mum's health was really poor. I missed out on quite a bit when I kind of hit my late teens, and I was playing catch up. I just wanted to be like everybody else. I wanted to do the things and buy the things that everyone else did. And this is no excuse, by the way. I've learned a lot, but just to give context as to where I was at that moment. And a friend I knew, a girl I worked with, had got this payday loan, and she was like, oh my god, it's so easy, you can get it, like we can get it by Friday and go out on Friday night, it's so good, and you just pay it back, it's super easy. And I was like, yeah, all right. So I did it. I think I got something like £100 or £200 for the first one. What I didn't know is that when you go to pay it back, you're basically paying back more than double sometimes. So you borrow £100, you pay back 200, but then by the time you got to payday and you'll pay back 200, you were £200 down, meaning you needed to recoup that. So then you'd borrow 200 to recoup that because you were £200 down, and end up with 400. And next thing you know, it just snowballs into this huge mess. And yeah, it was a really poor place for me financially, and feeling like I could never catch up. It probably was one of the biggest chunks of my debt in its entirety. So payday loans, not understanding them, using them for the complete wrong reason anyway, because I was just literally using it to go out to keep up with friends, to feel like I was included, to be like everybody else from a financial position. It was horrendous. So bad habit number 3 was getting access to them easy, and yeah, completely falling into the trap of the payday loan cycle. Number 4 is not educating myself on any financial resource or information. Now, we don't get taught this stuff at school. It's not something that they share with us. It's not something that they teach us. So it's something that you have to seek out for yourself if you've not been in a position where somebody in your family or friends or your carer has provided you with that resource, with that information. I'm trying now to educate my daughters, mainly because their age. When my sons get older, it will be their turn, but mainly my eldest daughter, who is 10, just the basics and the fundamentals of money. But financial education is something that I really wish I sought out earlier. I feel like it would have done me the world of good and probably saved a lot of heartache and a lot of debt and a lot of stress. But we move, I learned, I'm finally there. My biggest wish is that I sort out that information sooner. So if you are now looking for that information, please, please, please go out and educate yourself, upskill yourself. So just things like, what is APR? What is interest? Why does it get charged? How does it get charged? What happens if you don't pay a bill? How much do you need to pay back? What is a credit score? How do you get a credit score? How do you manage a credit score? There is so much more. Like, my mind just goes, when I try and think about all the things you have to learn, but not seeking that information out sooner was a really poor habit. I think for me, even when I got myself into a bit of a mess and in my head I knew I needed to learn stuff, I knew I needed to do better, ignorance was bliss. I just was like, oh, if I don't know about it, then it's kind of an excuse I can lean on. It isn't. It's not something you should do. There is information and resources for free out there for you to be able to learn, and pretending that I didn't have to know it or couldn't learn it or whatever it was, or I was too broke to need to know. No, the broker you are, the more you need to know, honestly. Bad habit was not seeking out that financial education and upskilling myself to understand my finances better sooner. Number 5 was living above my means. Listen, yeah, we need to get comfortable living below our means. I was even having this conversation recently. My financial situation in terms of income has got better and better year on year. I feel very blessed and very grateful. But then I've increased my spending, and what I should have been doing is keeping my spending as it was and allowing my income to increase with my outgoings staying the same, to really build up that wealth, to really build up that pool of money where I could start investing. And I haven't been amazing at doing that. A lot of reason would be because we bought a house that we need to renovate. So obviously I bought a house and then I've been spending money on renovating it. So my outgoings have increased and all of that sort of thing. So, you know, there are some scenarios and circumstances that can't be helped. We have more children, so naturally our outgoings went up. But really living below our means and having that savings, having that pool of money that we can save and invest, I so wish I had understood that and learnt it and done it so much sooner. A lot of my spending came from an emotional place. I felt like I needed to keep up. I felt like I wanted to be part of something. I wanted to, you know, be like everybody else. And so much of it came from an emotional place of insecurity, of lack, of feeling like I didn't fit in, I wasn't good enough, and I needed to have all of these material things or spend money to keep up with everyone else. So I naturally spent way above my means, and it just ended up and accumulated into a big mountain of debt. So getting comfortable with not having what everyone else has, getting comfortable with saving for things rather than just buying them for the sake of it, getting comfortable with maybe not being on trend like everybody else or doing it in a different way, not keeping up with the Joneses, which is always so ironic because our surname is Jones. But you know what I mean. Getting comfortable with living below my means is something that I have had to learn the hard way. So yeah, poor habit on my part was living way above them for far too long. Poor habit number 6 was having zero discipline. And I'm still not very good at this. I've got much better at it from a financial perspective, but I still have no willpower and no discipline when it comes to anything else. If there's chocolates there, I'm gonna eat them all. I had really bad discipline, and I think a lot of it came from, oh, I'll just deal with it later. I'll deal with it next month. I'll sort it out next month. I'll sort it out next paycheck to paycheck. And I had no discipline. Again, and I know I keep leaning back to this and going back to this, but that emotional connection to money really had an impact on that. I just would allow myself to have no control, no self-control. I was impulsive. I just buy stuff, and it was really, really bad. Even when I started getting into the habit of trying to be disciplined with money, trying to have a budget, trying to stick to budget, if I got over budget, or if I overspent on one of my categories, or if I overspent on, you know, where I was supposed to be for my weekly spend, I just go, oh, forget it. And rather than actually realign, reassess, and just like go back to trying to be in budget, I just be like, oh, I've got over budget now, I might as well just spend £1 million more. It was so poor. Like, it's so bad to have that mindset. But I just had no discipline. If someone said to me, can you come out on Friday night, rather than saying, do you know what, no, I'm sorry, I can't make it, and actually saving the money or not having the money, I would get into the situation of getting a payday loan or putting it on my credit card. I had no discipline. I had no, you know, strength to say, no, my finances are important, getting this in order is important. And I just did whatever I liked and thought I would deal with the consequences at a later date. And my gosh, did I deal with those consequences at a later date? And I really wish I hadn't. So no discipline was a really poor habit, and building up that discipline muscle, because it is something you've got to practice, it's a habit that you've got to get used to and work on and develop over time, has been so worth it. Because if you're going to have discipline anywhere in your life, your finances is a good place to start. And last but not least, my probably biggest bad habit, and I've touched on this throughout all of these, so there's probably a bit of a string of it throughout all of it, was not dealing with any of my emotional attachments to money and my poor relationship or unhealthy relationship with money. That is huge, and not acknowledging it, not dealing with it, pretending it doesn't exist, all of those things just led to things getting much worse. I really didn't unpack how much my feelings towards money and my relationship with money was coming from this place of I'm not good enough. I just never realized that until much later. So I know I've talked about it freely in this video, but it's because I've done a lot of therapy, I've done a lot of healing around me as an individual, and then the connection that that has with how I think about money. And it's anything from not thinking that I'm good enough to earn a decent salary or a decent amount of money, or I'm not clever enough or smart enough or good enough to have a big income. It was spending over my means and unnecessarily to keep up with everybody else because I felt like it gave me some sort of value or worth. All of this was on material things or experiences that put me in a position, or, you know, nights out, things that put me at the forefront of what everyone else was doing. Not dealing with why that was, why did I feel that way, has probably been the worst habit I've had out of them all, because it's fed so much of all the other poor habits that I had. And I cannot stress enough the importance of seeking out professional support when you're dealing with your finances, particularly if you're in debt, particularly if you're really struggling. And, you know, we're in a cost of living crisis. There are, you know, really serious financial implications for so many people at the moment. And it is a scary time, but there is support and help out there for you at no cost in many scenarios. I can't obviously guarantee that for everywhere, but I know when I was really struggling, I reached out to Citizens Advice, which is a free resource. There are some incredible debt charities which are free and can support you too, but not dealing with the why. Sometimes you can get yourself in a pool of debt, you know, not actually deal with why it escalated to that in the first place, get yourself out of it, and then fall straight back in it again, because there's this underlying issue that's not being dealt with. And I needed to deal with that. And so much of that came from recognizing my attachment to my self-worth with things that I had and the way that people perceived me, being in a position where I felt like I was missing out or I wasn't like everybody else. It just, when I think back now, it makes me so sad that I got myself into that mess, and, you know, it got as bad as it did because I just didn't know how to deal with all of those emotions around money. I didn't know how to manage it, and it's a really scary place to be. I was so young, and I thank God, and I'm so grateful that I, you know, have learned and gone through this huge journey. But it's a really scary place to be. Even really understanding the fact that your emotional well-being and what you think of yourself can even have an impact on your finances, or that there's even a connection there. So doing that deep work with myself has been life-changing, genuinely. So they are my 7 bad money habits, which are no longer, and I still consistently work on them all the time, because habits are things that we learn over time, but they can be unlearned, and you can introduce some really healthy habits in your life when it comes to your finances. Let me know if you'd like me to share some of the healthy habits that I've learned and adopted over the last few years, which have got me into a completely different life when it comes to my finances. So let me know if you'd like me to share that. Again, if you are struggling, if you'd like professional support, I am not a financial advisor, and this video wasn't necessarily financial advice, but just sharing some of my poor habits. Please do check that description box, where I'm going to put some resources in there of places that you can reach out to. So I hope that was helpful, and I hope that maybe you took something from that. Thank you so much for listening. If you've got this far, please do consider subscribing and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and let me know if you want a little bit more of this sort of vibe. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye.